Part 152. After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1526. One is persistence, and the other is tireless. Together they are a dog. What a gracious name. Yan Song, you have a good name. Gozi, gosh, how much? Where Gozi? I can't understand the reason for the praise, he now regrets it very much. Tell her the name. Originally I wanted to put on the nickname of Bald Head, and as a result, dug a big hole. He dug it for himself. He froze. My name cannot be called casually, you better call my boss all the time. Yan Song, good boss. The distance between the two is ambiguous, a bit like a wall sting. Gozi realized that the tip of the nose was full of the taste of this woman. It is a good smell of grass and trees, which makes people feel refreshing and remember the once green grass and blue sky and white clouds. He should have let go. But the ghost made a difference. Instead of letting go, she bowed her head slightly, and approached her white and tender face, staring at her eyes. Are you saying bad things in my heart? How could this guy have such naive thoughts? At most she called him two more dogs in her heart, and imagined what a hairless dog would look like. No, Yanj replied solemnly, I'm not that boring. Gozi sneered, it's better not. Yanj, let's sleep, I'm full and I need to sleep and digest it. He yawned while talking and pushed Gozi's arm. Gozi. When the woman turned her head, her hair fell across the skin of his neck. It's like a feather fluttering over the apex of the heart. Although it passed away instantly, the kind of itchiness that it can bring has continued, spreading slowly throughout the body. Gozi's throat moved. He pressed his hand to her shoulder, and his voice was low. Stay with me. He whispered, when it comes to those foods. The light was dim, and Yan Ji didn't notice the redness at the tip of his ears, and she glanced at his bald head in surprise. Well, her subconscious movement, even if she didn't say anything, had already revealed her voice. This woman said just now that she hated his bald head. Gozi immediately withdrew his hand and looked at her blankly. The words uttered were extremely indifferent, get out. Words of song. Changing face is faster than changing sky. The mind of a man is really a submarine needle. She turned around and Molly went out. Although I feel that sleeping is not a big deal. But sleeping with a bald head is still a bit twisted. Looking at the bald head always reminded her of herself. I woke up in the middle of the night to see if there was a bald head in front of me who thought it was my own body. How sad it was. Can't think. After eating and drinking, Yan Song returned to his room, and Molly slept. This body consumed too much in the first 2 days. Even after sleeping for 3 days, she closed her eyes and immediately went back to sleep. Woke up early the next day. Mainly the people next door were knocking. Yanj changed her clothes and put on after washing, and then opened the door. Gozi frowns tightly outside, waiting impatiently. But when he saw the song wearing the tooling, he swallowed back and said, let's go and eat. Don't miss a meal and go to him and eat and drink. The base's tooling is specially made, and the general ability is not qualified to wear it. This kind of clothing not only protects against radiation, but also rainwater that can corrode people into blood. After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1527. The workwear is mainly practical, not only wide, but also a lot of pockets from tops to pants, just for everyone to eat, drink or booty. Grey fluttering clothes were worn on Yanj, although she covered her little waist with a gigantic grip. Probably because this dress is worn more by the rough guys, and it was suddenly worn on her like a little girl. The contrast is strong and has a different sense of beauty. Gozi feels that for a while those teammates may be around her again and again. In fact, it really is. I went to the canteen on the first floor. In the lively cafeteria, everyone was sitting in various misbehaving postures, laughing and scolding and talking about the advantages of the girl who slept last night. As soon as I looked up and saw the entrance song, everyone seemed to have their mouth stitched together, and they banned their words instantly. When Yanj went to have a meal, why had he rushed over for the first time? Sleeping Beauty, you finally woke up. After more than 3 days of sleep, how can you sleep so? The voice is warm and intimate, and it also has such a bit of petting helplessness. This man has a lot of drama. Yanj avoided his hand that wanted to help her with the plate. Don't touch me, the hydrostatic taste on your body is too disgusting, stay away from me. Why? He stepped back a bit awkwardly, but didn't stay away from it completely. Well, how did you smell? Your nose is so sensitive. Yanj did not look back. Speak to me again, I will release Little Green. Why immediately retreat? Now in this world, water is a scarce resource, and bathing is extravagant. Even these people of the Thunder team, if they want to take a bath, they have to spend some crystal nuclei to go to the water system to buy water. So everyone can take a shower without taking a shower. Why didn't he realize that he still had this taste? He smelled without a trace. He smelled nothing but the smell of perfume. Although it was a failure, but everyone couldn't stand it and wanted to get together. You can also hug your thighs if you can't hold the beauty. There is nothing wrong with a good relationship. But before they got together, they saw that the boss also had dinner and sat beside Yanj. Everyone's eager heart suddenly went out. Still, don't disturb the boss and sister. After all, the boss rarely opens the screen once in this 10,000 years. Everyone pays attention to the situation of the boss and Yanj from time to time when eating. I thought the two would enjoy each other. As a result, the two had nothing to say, and each bowed their heads silently to eat. It is true, there is no communication at all. Everyone silently erected to the boss. The boss is a person who is single by his ability and has to serve. After eating the song without communication, he looked up, looked at the dog in front of him, and asked, "Are you going out today?" The dog nodded. 40 or 50 zombies are on their way to the base, and they are going to kill them. Yanj, that's great. If you kill the zombies, remember to take the crystal nucleus to me. Goza did not speak, staring at the words. Who told her such a thick face? Goza did not answer, but Yanj waited eagerly for his due. The strange quietness between the two was quiet, a very awkward quiet. The live dog 3 whispered the opposite song on the table next door, explaining, the boss is a thunder system, a thunder can blast the zombies into slag, and the crystal nuclei will not be left. Yanj suddenly realized, stared at the dog and asked, can't you control your power? Can't you use less power? You can slowly try to control your own ability so that the crystal nuclei will not be blasted into slag. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1528. Dog 3, he turned his head silently, and couldn't bear to look directly. The last guy who gave advice to the boss was passed by an electric eye of the boss, and the hair was not only burned. Even the clothes were burnt into a few pieces of black scum, and the whole person was not dark and could not see the original look. Yanji's words were not euphemisms, they were simply questioning the boss's ability. Although Yanj is a beauty, everyone feels that with her boss's straight male cancer properties, Yanj is afraid of being blasted. But to everyone's surprise, their boss was not angry and darkened. Goza gave a slight glance at the words and said, go where you want. Yanji stared at him, I'm afraid of zombies, I'm afraid of dirty. Goza, you can take a bath when you come back. In the eyes of Yanj, such a common thing as bathing is not his own gain. Coming back for snacks. Goza stared blankly at Yanj. Yan Song looked back without fear. The blink of an eye of the two had a few back and forth moments. In the end, the dog took a step back. Okay. Yanj kicked his nose and added, you can't restrict or add conditions afterwards. She deliberately glanced at the dog's baldness. That's self-evident. Goza felt ashamed at her gaze. He pursed his lips without talking, and stood up and left. Yan Song immediately followed. The two who waited for a long time left the cafeteria without any sound. I don't know who whispered, boss, the boss is a little different this time. It's different. Although still cold and ruthless, he obviously has a lot of patience with Yanj. And when did the boss have a snack? The boss can't do it, using his single ability to pursue words. Looked a little hanging. Everyone sighed. It always felt that in the end, the boss might still have to be single. Although everyone dismissed their thoughts about hooking up with Yanj, everyone didn't have much confidence in the boss's personal involvement in hooking up with Yanj. I always feel that I will have the opportunity to hold the beauty back. Yanj followed the dog and went out, still the last pickup. Yanj is still sitting in the co-pilot position. I heard Guzan said that this time the zombie levels were quite high, there were several third levels, so this time there were a lot of people, only 2 pickup trucks were installed. Gujisen also carried a motorcycle on top of this pickup. The driving dog Sansu whispered something bad about his boss. Of course, it may be a compliment in his opinion. Our boss's thunder ability is top-notch, and I have never seen anyone better than him. You are so ignorant, I'm better than him. Guzan was skeptical of Yan Ji's words, but he did not dare to question them. If it turned into a flower fad, he would lose more than he paid. Our boss is a clean man. It's cleanliness. Gujisen was silent for a moment. He and his teammates felt that his boss was really a clean habit. Our boss, he is particularly intelligent and very personal. Before the words were changed, Yan Song interrupted him, brilliant. Dog San stared at the song, and it took a long time to reflect the meaning of these 4 words. Nima, I can't chat with this woman. If this kind of words are heard by this boss, can they still live? Go-san, who has a strong desire for survival, immediately changed the subject, and was particularly firm and admiringly said, our boss is always clean and never sleeps with a woman. Yanj, then he should like men. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1529. Dog San slowly turned his head and stared at Yanj. He couldn't say a word blocked by this woman. Yanj ignorance, if you think about the boss, does he not only don't like sleeping women, but also hates the seductive approach of women? He must like sleeping men, so don't say you don't even understand this. As a reminder to Yanj, Go-san feels like it really is. His inexplicable chrysanthemum tightened. However, between the boss in the back compartment, he dying to argue, our boss will not like men, and he has not slept with any man. Stupid, rabbits don't eat nest grass, that is, they will not sleep if you sleep. Oh, Gujisen has nothing to say. The words of these words made him think that their boss might really like men. Hey, he was a little hesitant, but he didn't know what he was. Instead, Yanj said, are you curious whether the boss is the one above or the one below? Dog San glanced at the song. This is actually not a very good topic, talking about the boss behind, or talking about such private things. Once the boss knew it, his dog life was gone. Curiosity kept him from interrupting the song. He laughed at the words and said, he must be the one below. Go-san whispered, why? Yan Ji blinked at him, boss has cleanliness, aren't all cleanliness men 0? What is 0? The one below. Dog 3 is silent. After knowing it, his back was dripping with cold sweat. He felt like he knew too much today. Will he be killed by the boss? So terrible, Why did you talk to this woman about this kind of thing? His original intention was to boast of his own boss, to be a well-known and lively to match the boss and this woman. Why did the topic finally shift to such an endless situation? Why did he know so many private things about the boss? Shivering, he said to Yang solemnly, in this case, you better not tell others. He was really afraid of being killed by the boss. Yang blinked at him, indicating that he understood. Rest assured, I will never tell the second person about these words you and me. Dog 3. What did he say to her? Obviously she told him these words. Go-san really regretted this moment. He felt that he should not talk about such things with Yang. If the boss doesn't know, just forget it. The boss needs to know in the future. How can he still kill him? Now when he thinks that the boss is going to kill him, he subconsciously suffers. The car stopped on the way to a fork. Yang looked in the rearview mirror, and the motorcycle on the roof was dropped by a guy with power. Gozi also jumped out of the rear bucket and rode on a motorcycle. Yan Song took his gaze. Her car window was knocked at this time. Turning his head, Gozi, wearing a helmet, lifted another helmet in his hand. Go-san translates for his boss. Boss wants you to get out of the car and go for a ride with him. The heavens and the earth are almost gray, and the air is not fresh at all. Go for a drive? Yang didn't believe it at all. Presumably go to the road first. There is meat and bones next to the dog. Yang did not hesitate to open the door and get off immediately. She sat in the back seat, put her helmet on, and before she could hold it securely, the car whistled out. Yang almost didn't fall to the ground after a recline. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1530. Bald men also had irritability. People and trees seemed to be essentially the same. For the sake of the man's baldness, Yang did not intend to care about it. You can hear the whistle of excitement faintly behind the motorcycle. These guys really make up for it? Goza's speed was fast and Yang had to hug his waist. The scenery on both sides receded quickly, and along the way, Song of Songs saw a lot of deserted villages like ruins. Moreover, she seemed to see normal people. The people looked at them silently behind the window. Although it was swept away, the envy and longing in those eyes could be felt instantly. These people are probably retail individuals who are unwilling or unable to enter the base. Yan Song's thoughts are a bit sloppy. When the car stopped, it was in the courtyard of an abandoned factory building. Faintly still heard the wow sound. She had a sharp nose and could smell the sickening rancid smell from the southwest. It's zombies. Yang entered this plane and has not seen the so-called zombies. She frowned and stared southwest. These zombies are fast. And most of the zombies can't make a sound. There should be a high level of zombies in these zombies. The voice of wine should be this high-level zomber is directing other zombies. The low voice of the man around him was a little dignified. They are coming. Okay. Afraid? Of course not afraid. What's terrible? Just a little disgusting. Her wood power mutates, and she likes the pure air of heaven and earth, like the crystal nuclei that have been filtered layer by the zombies. Such as the zombie body, Yang-Ji's body instinctively wants to retreat and avoid. Don't want to have any contact with the zombies. But this kind of thought, Goza did not understand. The woman was most impressed by him, affectionate. He certainly wouldn't try to appease her, or say the idiot saying I will protect you. They will come over in 3 minutes and be ready to fight. Yang, you brought me, just want me to be a free thug. Goza looked ahead. You are also a member of the Thunder and enjoy the convenience that the Thunder brings to you, so you have to do your duty. Yang, at that time, you will be sympathetic and leave the crystal nucleus. Don't leave any dross. It is too violent. Goza stopped talking. In the end, he did not say that he did not blast the crystal nuclei into slag. In fact, those crystal nuclei were absorbed by him as long as the zombies were bombarded, but everyone didn't know it. In fact, he and she absorbed the nuclei in different ways. But is she his kind? Would it? Hesitant in heart, but dared not tempt. Yan Ji did not answer when he saw him, and said, God, you can protect me as much as possible. I am afraid that the zombies are too ugly and I have no ability to respond. Dog, hee hee. What do you call me? Oh, boss. Yanj finished changing his tongue, snickering at him and whispering again, actually, your name is very kind, and it feels close to you instantly, don't you think so? Dog, hee hee. Really, his voice seemed to squeeze out of his teeth. You care about me. You are the boss and it is right to care about you. Goza sneered, you care a lot, but you also care about things like me. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1531. Yanj asked in confusion, what do you dislike about men? Gozi hasn't answered yet. Yanj said, sorry boss, I shouldn't poke your Pokemon. Gozi is no longer willing to talk to her. He couldn't wait for this guy to be killed by the zombies today, out of sight. The smell of filth all around grew stronger. Yanj seemed to be out of control, trying to step back. She glanced at the dog, the man's palm stretched out, and a flame appeared in his palm. Not only does he make thunder abilities, but even such fire abilities are obviously very skilled. What the is this dog? Yanj took a step back and was a little farther away from this guy. Not only does she hate filthy breath, but she is also afraid of fire. She is more willing to deal with zombies than fire. Because of her action, Goza gave her a glance. But immediately, he retracted his eyes and rushed forward, throwing the fireball in his hand the next moment. A zombie jumped from the top of the building and went straight to Goza. However, because of the fireball, the zombie body was twisted in the air. Goza immediately counterattacked the attack, and a lightning bolt hit the zombies. From the moment he saw the face of this zombie, Yanj stunned in place. This guy is the zombie who has been guarding the host and Ruanqing. The name is, oh, no name, the original owner and Ruanqing both called him Xiaomo, because he can't speak. The filthy smell did not emanate from him, but from the 30 or 40 zombies behind him. These zombies didn't seem to be interested in the words, and all of them stared at Gozi who fought fiercely with Xiaomo. If they had a chance, they would go towards Gozi immediately. This is obviously a group fight. Yan Ji took a few steps back and stayed away. She squeezed a slightly hot brows, focusing on the situation in the field without blinking. Gozi and Xiao Mo are in a difficult position to compete. However, Xiao Mo had several third-level zombies to help him Gaozi. As a result, Gozi has a disadvantage. Gozi brought her, obviously asking her to be an assist. However, the original owner and Xiao Mo are old acquaintances. Xiao Mo has been protecting the original owner in the last days. Speaking of it, although she has joined the Thunder now, her true person is not Gozi, but Xiaomo. Of course, this god's assist cannot be taken, but it can only be taken by Xiaomo. Yanj took a few steps back, lest those zombies splash on her when Gozi was blasted into scum. She made up her mind not to step in. After all, the snacks that Gozi gave her are really not as good as Xiaomo's love for the host. Gozi, who was watching in silence, was a little boring. Suddenly, it feels like a bit of melon seeds on my hand. Dog 3, they came soon after. With these people holding down the dozens of zombies, Gozi was not passively beaten anymore. Between him and Xiaomo, you come and go, obviously you can't win or lose, No one can kill anyone. Yanj read with interest. This man was fighting with a zombie, and no one was merciful. All the tricks were killing. Therefore, one person and one zombie was seriously injured. She gradually realized that Gozi used a method similar to thunder. But when Xiao Mo was rushed, his energy body would turn into filthy black gas, which was no different from Xiao Mo's body. This man has the same zombies. Interesting. Perhaps Gozi is not a human, but a zombie. It's quite deep. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1532. It didn't take long to fight, and I knew that not only wouldn't kill the opponent if I continued to fight, but would make myself half dead. So not long after they came here, Xiaomo retreated with the zombies. The retreat was orderly. Go-san cried in surprise, "Boss, is it the zombie leader who fights against you? How does it feel like there is no difference from normal people?" Gozu raised his hand and signaled that everyone should stop chasing. "Yes, it really looks like people. Everyone thinks that it is incredible that these zombies have evolved to the end, as if they are no different from humans, so why should they be enemies? Why don't you sit down and talk?" Of course, they are even more worried about the fact that a zombie that had been scattered in the sand now has a leader and immediately becomes a powerful team. If that person has a bad heart and wants to dominate the world, their humanity will instantly change from a hunter to a hunted being. He can order zombies, which is terrible. Goza didn't speak, he looked up, his eyes fell on the abandoned building in the distance, and he sat on the wall of the balcony on the third floor, shaking his legs and singing. This woman was called to follow her as a thug, and she did well and became a soy sauce. Nemas. Not only was Goza, who was full of wounds, not a little bit embarrassed, when he stared at Yanj, his eyes were sharp like two knives, and he wanted to poke out all the internal organs and lungs of Yanj. Yanji looked up and greeted him, "Boss, is there something wrong? Is there anything you do know yet?" Goza stared at her, twitched his lips, and sneered. "What she can't do for someone she can't use. If I knew it, I would not waste so much food." Yanj went downstairs and touched the goosebumps on his arm. He said to Goza, "It's terrible. I saw all the zombies and I got hair. The goosebumps on my body haven't retreated now, but you are really amazing. It's just amazing." Goza was expressionless and skipped her to get in the car. This time, he sat in the co-pilot position. Snatched the special seat of Yanj. Of course, in his opinion, this is taking back his place. The dog in the driving position looked at the boss's face that seemed to be killing soon, and his heart was shaking. Boss looks terrible after a fight with a woman friend. Hope not to be innocent. Yanj went to the back car. I wanted to take the co-pilot position. As a result, it was found that the two co-pilot positions in the back were full of materials, and there was no place for her buttocks. So she turned her head and set her gaze on the dog's mount. After a minute, dog number 3 driving on the road noticed sharply that a familiar motorcycle appeared in the rearview mirror. Boss motorcycle that no one can ride, only his girlfriend has taken, is now galloping on the road. However, the boss, sitting next to him. Go-san secretly squinted at the boss. Boss squinted and stared at the front slightly, as if he hadn't noticed that his car had been riding. I hope I never noticed. But apparently, Gozo's prayer was not heard by God. Of course, it is also possible that God is infected with a zombie virus and can no longer fulfill the wishes of others. Gozi accidentally looked up and glanced at both rear-view mirrors. I saw the woman riding his wife. His wife followed him for the longest time, and the feeling of one person and one motorcycle surpassed everything. He never thought that his wife would be ridden by someone one day. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1533. It's intolerable. Goza was so angry that he almost exploded. He didn't even call Dog 3 to stop. Opening the door directly and jumping out, by the force of the top of the car, it leapt to the back seat of the motorcycle. He lifted his feet and staggered to Yan Song's head. All the teammates in the two cars opened their eyes and looked wide. Which car and girlfriend are important? I didn't know it before, but now they finally know it. Obviously, even if a girlfriend is as beautiful as a fairy, it is more important than a girlfriend or a car. This is their straight male Cancer boss. Silently put some wax on the boss. This fetter went out. It is estimated that he will kneel after his girlfriend. Yan Ji's response was faster. When Goza came out, her body leaped sideways to avoid Goza's foot. What the are you? She called. Stop you, or I'll make you a sieve. Goza didn't speak, and when he stepped on the air, he threw a fireball at Yan Ji. Huh, did she think he didn't know her weakness? Really innocent and arrogant. The temperature of this one's fireball is felt even if the words are far away. This man is really cruel. She stared sharply, swaying backwards. A tree branch wrapped around the railing of pickup truck, and Yan Ji's hand grabbed the tree branch and leapt to the roof. She half knelt on the roof of the car and stared at Goza. Goza rode on a motorcycle and stared at her. He seemed to have roots in his body, and those roots were spreading a little, like spider webs would spread to every part of his body. He also realized the kind of pain that his teammates said, like the tearing of a tree to break through his body. How can that be possible? There is a fire power in his energy. Her wood-based power should be most afraid of fire. How could a tree take root in his body? This woman's means is really a wooden system. Goza was not afraid. Although my heart was puzzled, the fireball in my hand threw it out again. This fireball seems to have given birth to the intellect. How can Ren Yanj dodge? It only chases the Yan Song. Goza took advantage of this work to move the fire-powered abilities in his body. The roots of the trees in the body were swept away. But his fire ability just retreated, and the roots in his body rekindled and began to spread again. Before that, he cleaned up all these so-called tree roots. How could there still be? He glanced at the words of songs jumping around the roofs of two cars to avoid fireballs. The roof of the car was almost overthrown by the woman, and his teammates were screaming in horror and begging for help. Goza grinned at his teeth, but in the end, he reached out and recovered the fireball. Yanj sat cross-legged on the sunken roof and smiled at him. Goza really wanted to unload this woman by 8 pieces, and in the end, forbeared. The so-called tree root in his body also slowly disappeared. He surveyed himself with various abilities, and there was nothing else in his body. How did she do it? Goza couldn't figure it out, but he didn't want to be held back by her all the time. So when he got to the base, he said to the song being inspected, "Let's go, Thunder doesn't want people like you." Yan Song glanced up at him and said, "Okay. Turn around and leave without even arguing." Goza hesitated, ignoring the horrified eyes of the crowd. He turned and strode toward the base. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1534. Yanj left the base, hesitated slightly, and walked towards the house where the original owner lived. She couldn't be anxious about Ruanqing. Ruanqing's obsession is Xiao Mo, and she will return to that little house sooner or later. And from the perspective of Yan Ji, now Ruanqing is still nothing, pinching her to death is too cheap, and she wants to make a person miserable. It will be more cheerful to pull her off the horse when she's hot. After walking a long way, footsteps were faint behind. Yanj stood still, turning his head and staring at Goza, who was getting closer. With her lips curled, she teased, "Are you going to die?" Goza pursed his lips and did not speak. Yanj did not take the road, This is an alley, but there is no trace of people around, not even the zombies. Dead, as if he and she were left in this world. Gozi approached a few steps, suddenly reached out his hand, clasped Yanji's waist, pressed her over the wall and kissed her lips. Yanji turned his head slightly, avoiding him with a disgusted look. Gozi didn't continue to force him anymore, he kept kissing her and looked at her with a complex look. Yanj smiled lowly, "Don't say that after I left, you suddenly realized that you liked me and then caught up." Gozi tilted his head, wondering, like. He said, "No, I want to kill you." This is really straightforward. However, do anti-barking dogs usually bark? He is not a qualified killer now. Words song, "Oh, you can try and see who the two of us ended up with, who was killed." Gozi didn't answer, still carefully watching Yanj's face. "It's like weighing the weight of words." He said, "Do you know him?" Yanji raised an eyebrow, and then he glanced at him, "Who?" Gozi sneered, "You know who I'm talking about." Words, "I don't know." "Go live," Gozi said, "he knows you." That dumb little silent, the original name was Go Huo. This name sounds awful. However, the same surname Go, it seems that the two guys really have a connection. Yanj shook his head, "You won't say the zombies who fought with you, I don't know." Gozi stared at Yanj, as if to justify the truth of her words. After a while, he said, "Give you a chance to reform and go back with me." He said nothing and turned away. After taking a few steps, I found that the song did not keep up. Looking back, staring at her in doubt. Yanj smiled at him. "Hemp eggs, let her go if she wants to go, let her go if she wants to go back." What did she think of her? Ball. "You let me roll, I do what you want, but now you let me go back. Why did you go back? Do you think you are my son or grandson?" Gozi frowned, "You don't want to go back." Yanj raised his chin, "Why should I go back?" Gozi, "I have a lot of snacks." Yan Song, "Do you think I'm rare?" Gozi, 20 hours of hot water in your room." Yanj, "Although I am a wood-based ability, do you think that I will not condense water?" Gozi, "You follow me without having to hit the zombies, easily pick up crystal nuclei." "Oh," Yanji asked him obliquely, "you are so kind. You don't have enough crystal cores yourself." Gozi. He thought for a moment, "Or should I sleep with you?" His teammate said that there is nothing that can't be solved with one sensation. Words, "I don't sleep with bald heads." Gozi angry, "I'm not bald." After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1535. Words song, "Oh, you are not bald, you are brilliant." Gozi. He eased his emotions, "What are you going to do? Go back to where you lived?" Song, "Yes." Gozi walked up to her a few steps again, standing high and staring at her. The golden mang in his eyes was dull, his face was somber, and his throat was rolling, presumably speaking. The next moment, he held down Yanji's shoulders with both hands and hugged people and flung forward. Where Yanj had just stood, the wall had been broken from the other side. No, to be precise, they were zombies. Two fourth-level zombies rushed to Yanj and Gozi one after the other. The third-level zombies are already very powerful. Individual abilities who encounter third-level zombies are basically a dead end. The fourth-level zombies are not only fast, but also have abilities like humans. However, their power is very disgusting. It is a sarcoma similar to a cannibal that grows from the mouth and can grow shorter. Too disgusting. It's not the pictures that make songs unbearable. It was the filthy smell that made her goosebumps on them. Gozi can only entangle one. Another flesh-eating cannibal flower rushing towards Yanj. Yanji was afraid that there would be any disgusting spit in the flower of the sky. She reached out and pulled out a short knife tied to her leg. Instead of running away, she headed straight up and rushed towards the guy. At this moment, she just wanted to cut the chaos quickly. Her body shape was almost the fastest, and the branches of thorns growing on the ground entangled the zombie's 2 legs. She jumped up, avoiding the zombie's cannibals by a branch in the air, split the zombie's head with a knife, and split the guy's head in half. However, she did not see crystal nuclei inside. Instead, after this guy's head was split, there was no blood splattering, but a cannibal flower quickly ran out from his head and bite. Mom! Can this special lady be called a zombie? This is a monster. Yanj fell to the ground, rolled a few times before avoiding. She also glanced at the situation. Obviously, Goza didn't do well, because the zombies he met would spit fire, and Goza attacked the guy's thunderbolt. It was directly swallowed by him and then vomited to Goza. It is impossible to save beauty by heroes. Yanj took a sip, cleaned the soil in her mouth, threw the dagger in her hand, and blinked again. A broom appeared in her hand. A very large broom that needs to be carried. Nima. Why did her feather duster mutate again? Yanji glared at the large broom in the yard, and had no time to continue voicing. Raised his hands and smashed the zombies that had rushed. A broom shot is like a giant tornado. Snap and smashed into the zombies running towards Chao Yanj quickly and accurately. The nausea and disgusting zombies were instantly smashed into a pile of scum by the broom. Black similar to carbon slag. Yan Song was surprised. She was previously weak and constrained by the system, and was unable to show off her golden fingers. In the first 2 planes, the sole source of devouring heaven beast and mighty one has been devoured, causing her mental strength to skyrocket. The system could no longer restrain her. Naturally, her small bricks can be taken out by her. But she did not expect the bricks to change again and again, and now it became a broom.